Welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blend. It's your boy Davis coming to y'all on this Monday morning. Another Pelicans game day today. They play an Eastern Conference opponent, which is nice to finally see another Eastern Conference opponent. We just played the Hawks, one of the few Eastern Conference teams we played this season. But follow that up, you got the Bulls. You got the Bulls at home. It was it's been a rough weekend for those who take the Atlanta rivalry serious. The basketball team spanked them. The football team came and spanked them with Kirk Cousins. Uh, but again, that's just kind of part of the course right now with both teams looking as bad as they do. But this particular episode, man, I just kind of wanted to touch base with everybody real quick before the games kind of get going, talking about what it is that I think is causing a lot of the Pelicans losing. Aside from the obvious thing, right, which is a massive amount of talent. Like obviously, whoa, what's good, bro? Appreciate you tapping in that like button, man. Other than like a massive amount of talent that they're lacking in comparison to some other teams in the league, even some of the young teams in the league, you can see at the second level or whatever, right? Like you, and again, man, a lot of people talked about this early in the season. Like Grubb was big, really big on how the second unit is possibly really, really bad. You know what I mean? Like from the starting five is a good starting five. I think but Poole has been out. You've been impressed with what you've gotten from Queen and Fierce, right? So that kind of supplements a little bit. I think Sadiq Bey has been solid, but the problem is, man, they've been hurt. First off, like the one thing that we knew that this season was based off is you had to have help. And for whatever reason, man, like it's just something with our and they tried to play to it, right? They tried to open up the season with the Black Cat thing and kind of try to play to the bad luck, which was a nice touch. But it's a real it's a real it's a real problem, man. I'm gonna just be honest. It's a real issue. So with that being said, like you got to think Poole has been out essentially an extended period of time at this point. There is no DeJounte. Carlos missed time. Eves missed some time. Looney, when you thought Looney was going to be important for you, Looney missed some time. Um, who else? Z obviously missed time. Thankfully, Trey has been healthy all season. Good for him. And your rookies have played, have been available for you all season. So like some of the core pieces that you wanted, Herb, I think missed last game, but like it's fine. Herb has been relatively healthy as well. So it's just a little bit of the inconsistencies with that, right? But when they're actually on the court, what is it that's making them a bad team? The bad team. The media is finally giving the front office credit for their draft picks, regardless of how they were made. Absolutely. If you notice, is regarding like the draft picks and stuff like that, like Queen has played so well and looks so unique, like we thought he would, right? That everybody's kind of like, what's going on with that guy in New Orleans? And no, you didn't want to. Obviously, you don't want to have to give that up, but at the same time, you see a lot of people starting to post clips of Queen's gameplays and numbers, and oh man, what it could look like if Queen turns into a franchise player. And you haven't seen a big with this type. Well, not you haven't seen, but like his skill set fits the skill sets of those players that are successful in the league, as like some teams are constructed around, or key factors on good teams. So, but again, if you watched Queen in college, like you're not you're not surprised necessarily by how good Queen is. Like the game is absolutely there. The feel for the game is there. The IQ is there, and he's still, again, man, he's 20. So like he's a really young player. Didn't have an off season, so still finding his rhythm. Didn't have a summer league. You know what I mean? So you got to think what Jeremiah Fizz had an advantage was he was healthy throughout most of that time, right? And able to kind of hit the ground running. Queen is playing catch up, and you see how good Queen looks, and Jeremiah Fizz to his own right also still looks really, really good. So, and again, in their matchups against some players, again, they make rookie mistakes and stuff like that, but that's part of the problem with the team. You shouldn't have to depend on them as much as you've had to, but I mean, they've stepped in, and you got to think like you're running your offense through Queen, and Fizz is, one of your better playmakers at this early of a stage. You got to think they're what's the Pels record? 2-13, 2-14, something like that. So like they're not even 20 games into their NBA careers, and they already look, they're very promising players. You just got to stay healthy and continue to get better. And you'll see the promise from it. It took Joker to give Queen his props for everyone to start speaking on him. Yeah, and I think it was because he gave Joker buckets, right? Like he gave Joker the work. And once you do stuff like that against really good players, which to be honest, if everybody was paying attention, which again is part of being the Pelicans and part of being a bad team, like, and in my opinion, Willie didn't do Queen any like he did Queen a disservice, because after the first two games, when you saw him handle his business for the most part against Jaren Jackson and not look bad, and in the second game, he played 35 minutes against Wemby and like did a really good job. Like at that point, you saw enough to know like, okay, this guy should be in the rotation and get minutes and stuff. And again, the clip is still out there about how, you couldn't find minutes for him against versus Looney, which is obviously incredibly stupid. I mean, just being honest. But what I really want to talk to, and like it's kind of like the reason this team constantly loses games, bro. The reason they constantly losing games, again, aside from the talent aspect of it, we have way too many just naturally bad habits, like learned bad habits. They just, one, you're not gonna shake them this fast, but like they've been learning these habits over like 5 years and stuff like that, and you could just tell that like is costing them. It's costing them, like the decision. Let's start with the small stuff, right? The first couple things that really, really bother me, I'm talking about really bothers me, is two things. One, complaining after plays, right? The complaining after plays. Like if you feel like you got fouled and they don't call a foul, and you sit there and pout and do all of that and not get back, like, and the team, because the team don't care. Sometimes they'll have a bad play. You'll see a team hurry up, get the ball inbound. They're trying to go down and score on you. So, like, complaining after plays, it's like, bro, they're not changing the call. It's not going to make a difference. Get back, make a play, wait till the actual stoppage of play, and then complain to the ref or something like that. Not in the middle of the play. And it feels like everybody on the team does that. And it's tough when you're already a bad team and losing. You do not have room to sit there and complain. His folks go on your car work for corner weed and even AD. Whoa. Like, I joined. Oh, appreciate it, dog. Appreciate it, bro. Hit that like button, man. That's what's up. So like the whining and complaining about a player. Zion does it. Queen was starting to do it. Trey does it. Like you, and then your best players can't be the ones that do it. You got Jose fighting to get back and stuff like that. Like your best players set the tone of the team, right? So all this bitching and complaining from like your players is just like it's deflating, it's discouraging, it's really annoying. Also, if I'm a coach and I'm watching, like, yeah, you might have not got fouled, they might have not called the foul on that play, but like take it out on the other team. Go down and get a block or something. Go down and get a stop. Don't just sit down and don't cry and pout and stuff like that. There ain't nothing worse than somebody who just pouting all the damn time. So like that first off is one of the first things that make me upset, and that's honestly easily fixable. Easily fixable. Like let them, like, bro, I don't know if they do it or not, again, obviously, but you got to let these dudes know, bro, that shit ain't gonna get you nowhere. It's not gonna change if they're gonna make the call or not. So stop that. Like that, y'all giving up opportunities at for the other team doing that kind of stuff, not getting back. So that's the first thing. The second thing, dog, I'm not saying, and I had a conversation, I think me and Ivory was talking about this too. We was talking about like defense, because a lot of people talk about defense being effort. And while defense is absolutely effort, defense is also a skill, right? Defense is also a skill. But these dudes are talented enough for the point I'm about to make. Talented enough and athletic enough. Dog, y'all can get back and stop the ball. Y'all got like the transition defense should not be this bad. It should not be this bad. Like the transition defense and the effort plays, right? And they've been playing with more effort like throughout the course of the game. If you watch them throughout the course of the game, as opposed to like when they had, they just like, you could tell they had obviously quit, right? But them not getting back and just stopping the ball, just something as simple as, bro, so I got him, right? They jog back, or they get back, and there's no, like, I don't know how it is in the NBA or whatever, but I remember, man, when we used to play, it used to be simple. It's like run back, first man find the ball. You know what I mean? Yeah. Take 21 days to break bad habits, bro. Hopefully we see a turnaround soon. That's true. You got to think JB been on this job, what, less than a week? Less than a week. But though, and less than a week, and also no practices. Shout out to Schmidt. For his, bro, Schmidt been killing it lately. I won't lie. And to all of the people that put out Pels content, but bro, Schmidt been on the roll with the Substacks and like the information that he's putting out about what's going on kind of behind the scenes, and like the information with like the lack of practice and stuff like that. That dude been killing it. So if y'all hadn't like listened to his pod recently, definitely get at a listen and like read his Substacks and stuff like that, because not only did he do a good job with the Gale interview and kind of broke that down to realistic terms, but when you watch the episode that he just recently put out, and it talks about how we discussed this on the show as well, that like when you don't have an opportunity to practice, like you said, to get out some of these, to break some of these habits, and you just kind of keep going through it in game, is really tough. It's really tough to overcome what it is you overcome, especially when you're going against good teams or teams that's like trying to figure it out. Like you have, like it's just a really stressful situation. And so many players in and out of the lineup, injuries, Carlin Herb have calf strains now. Like the injuries, you had to have help. So like you have a lot working against you, right? You have the fact that you had no, for JB, you had no practices, right? No real, you had some walkthroughs and stuff like that, but you have no practices. So I think, and a lot of people keep mentioning, like he's trying to do a lot on the fly. I think he said initially that like you had, he needed like maybe 5 to 10 games to try and create something to have a sample size of what to do after that, right? So again, even in the 5 to 10 games you're trying to get some kind of sample size of, you still got Zion in, Zion out, Missy in, Missy out, Carlo in, Carlo out, right? Herb in, Herb out. Like is Sadiq in, Sadiq out. Like there's certain, it's just a really tough situation to try and navigate. And I won't lie, like I like what we've seen offensively and trying to break some of those habits that they've had. But again, some of the main frustrating things, I don't know if it's principles, and I don't believe so. Like for example, the transition defense, right? Is it one of those things where they have been coached to do it a certain way all of these years, and it's been bad, right? It's been bad, but just recently, it's like not even recently. The last like 2 or 3 seasons, it's been just some of the worst in the league, in my opinion. But is it one of those things where it's just kind of like, bro, it's one of those fixes? If I could just get an opportunity to like practice it and demonstrate how it is we want it done, right? Like, is it one of those things? So like the transition defense and the transition offense, the whole transition game in general. Pause. I don't know if that's crazy or not, but offensively, they're bad in transition as well. And the thing I do like about Borrego is in his interviews, he's really addressing, like he's not afraid to answer some of the questions. It's like, yeah, man, when like we're not good offensively in transition, we don't know what it is we looking for, essentially, is what he's saying. Sometimes, we don't have the personnel to shoot threes. Like, he's essentially said that, like, we don't have a 3-point shooting personnel. A lot of our players like are looking to create. And in my opinion, when I'm watching the game, and I said this when I made the comment about them throwing the lobs, and it's like, why are y'all all trying to throw lobs, bro? Like, be decisive. Like, our decision make, like, that's what's got me to the point. I'm like, okay, this is just a low IQ team. Because if it's not there immediately, just pull it out and run the offense. If you're struggling, like, y'all are playing well when you're running the offense. Stop getting away from what it is that you're doing well. You do not have the luxury of some other teams to make these mistakes. And then, like, I'm of the mindset they do not know that they're not good. Like, I don't think they know that they're not good. If that makes sense. Because sometimes, and I know it's hard, like, as an NBA team, or maybe to tell an NBA player, like, bro, you're not, like, don't shoot. You're not a good shooter, right? Like, you have to have the self-awareness to know what the limitations in my game is and how to play to, like, make the team better. Like, when have y'all ever remember Herb throwing lives? So when Herb comes down on the break, like, the most you remember from Herb, like, Herb used to take it coast to coast with his Euro step, right? Every so often, he'd be able to finish. Other than that, like, you'll pull it out. Like, so why are you throwing lives, bro? Like, why is that even a thought in your mind? Like, Jose can sometimes throw a lot, but, like, that's not even Jose's game. Like, so it's not to say that you shouldn't, because I know he's probably preaching to him, play fast, play fast, play fast. But at the same time, you have to, like, be under control. Like, in transition, they just so out of control of where, like, it's just, if it, to me, my principle would be, if it's not there immediately, pull it out. If it's not there immediately, pull it out. Because we do not have the luxury of bad shots and turnovers. Like, you just can't. The timeline has been filled with Atlanta fans filling the dome and the blender. I've never been so sad. Bro, listen, like, when you in these kinds of moments, this is the way it is. Because when, like, the time will flip around when the Saints will be up, and then the Pelicans, I don't know when, right? I don't know when, but the time will flip when the team will be up. And guess what? When it's time to go to Atlanta and stunt, I'm going to be there. When it's time to go to Atlanta and stunt, I'm going to be there. Right now, it's just they having their day. They having their day. I agree, bro. Against Pels, last few minutes, they went back to ISO ball and lazy defense. Yeah, bro, you can't afford to do it. You can't afford to do it. I don't know if everybody was in for the stream throughout the game, but it literally was just as simple as the transition defense, right? Like, when they were doing that bitching and complaining after they weren't getting some calls, after some bad offensive plays, right? Like, they would stop running the offense, they go into their ISO ball, or they do some like bad offensively in transition, right? Not get a call, not get back, team scoring. Okay. Then they settle in, they start to run the offense a little bit, and then they either score or build a lead or cut into the lead or manage the game, whatever, right? And then when they start feeling comfortable, and this is the part where I'm just like, dog, I don't think y'all have the self-awareness to realize that y'all not good. Like, I don't think you have the self-awareness to realize that you're not good and that you need to play within your limitations, right? Like, there has to be a certain type of understanding of what needs to be done for y'all to compete in these games. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, I do not have the luxury to complain. I do not have the luxury to not get back and stop the ball. Like, somebody got to stop the ball. Somebody got to play and train. Like, we have to. You're not athletic enough to just get rebounds. Everybody got to do small stuff like boxing out. Like, even before we leaking out, damn near, it's like, shit, we got the rebound, right? We got the rebound. Oh, okay, thank God, we got the rebound. Now let's try to run. Oh, they got somebody back. Hold on. Before we try to go 1-on-2, or before I try to throw this live, like, wait a minute, dog. They got 2 of them back. Let's run the offense. Z, Queen, come here. Come on, let's do that. Takes about 2 months for a new good habit to become second nature as well. So you got to think now you had a disadvantage. You had 3 disadvantages right there. Appreciate both of y'all by talking about the habits. First off, this one from Mike. Appreciate you. 21 days to break bad habits. So, like, that's a month, right? That's already a month. So now you're talking mid to late December, right? Mid to late December, just to break the habits of what it is they've already learned, right? And then we're not talking about something that you just picked up, yesterday, or something you've been doing for a year. They've been doing this stuff for 5 seasons. Z been here for 7. So, like, I'm just talking about the Willie Green time. Like, who knows what other habits they have. So, like, that again, so that's a month, right? 21 days to do that. Then, if you go to this comment, appreciate you, takes about 2 months to form a new habit, a new good habit, right? So you got already the month to break the habit, then another month to get the good habit. So now you talking about January before you start seeing something. Then so that's 2 things working against you, not to mention all of the injuries and stuff like that, right? Because Poole's still not back. And I don't know what it is about us not getting word from the team on that, because initially it was he'll be reassessed in 7 to 10 days, and it's been 7 to 10 days. And, like, is he playing tonight? I would like to know. Is he questionable? Like, is he doubtful? Like, what's the word on JP, man? What's the word on JP? JP was the reason I bought the season tickets again. I ain't gonna cap. Like, I was excited for Jordan Poole to be here, and, like, to get no update on Poole, for nobody to ask about what's going on with JP. Like, I think they finally started to ask, what's the status on JP? Also, like, what's the status on Murray? You know what I mean? Like let's hold, again, people been holding them accountable about a bunch of stuff lately. Let's get some information on these. Hawks fans, I get. Falcons fans were talking crazy if that 3-28 picture don't exist. Say, dog, listen, that 3-28 is tough. That 3-28 is tough. They did make it to the Super Bowl, though. They did make it to the Super Bowl. But shout out to the Saints for winning theirs. That's still one thing that you always gonna have up on them. Always gonna have up on them. The Pelicans take injuries too slow for this team to ever really win, to be honest. I agree 1,000%. It feels like I don't know, like, who the injuries. It's almost like sometimes the injuries aren't assessed properly, because I remember, like, even early this season when Luka had his injury earlier, it was like, all right, yeah, Luka gonna be out like a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And then at the week and 2-week mark, Luka was back. Same thing with Ant. They was like, Ant gonna be out, because remember, Ant had the little injury early this season. Excuse me. Ant had the injury early this season, and they was like, yeah, Ant gonna be out for a little while. But then boom, like, Ant missed that time and then was back. So I'm just unsure what's going on. Like, initially, I was thinking the injuries, and I still believe this, that part of the Zion and Poole injuries were because they just refused to play for Willie Green. I'm not changing my mind on that, because you could tell, like, the politics of the game. That's not to say that they probably weren't still somewhat injured, right? But you just never know. You just never know with this team, and that's the problem, bro. Like, I just want, like, legit updates and legit information on what's going on, and you just can never trust that what's coming out is honest or what's coming out is true. So I don't know why those players not back. About the Pelicans, I think we need to trade Herb, Jose, and Hawkins and get picks. See if you can send them to the Nets for Cam Thomas and some of their picks and continue assets. Yes, I agree. I would package Herb for Cam Thomas right now. So this is the thing about Herb, right? This is the thing about Herb. And what I'm hoping is because as of right now, I'm of the mindset you damn near gotta move Herb. A lot of people want to move Z and stuff like that too. And again, I've come to the conclusion that I don't want to say conclusion. I'm open. More open to the idea of moving Z now more than ever. But at the same time, bro, when I watch how they look with Z and Queen and Prey, the one thing I don't want is I don't want to strip the team, right? I don't want to strip the team of all the talent. Like, say you move Z for like some young piece and players, and you move Trey for something in picks, and you move her for something in picks. I don't want to strip the team so much to where it's already rough for Queen and Fierce, right? But it'll be an even worse situation because now they really become the focal point, and you still gonna lose, but it's a harder like learning process, like a harder situation for them to thrive in, to be honest, as opposed to just like, and I think the objective is to acquire more talent. Like Herb seems like a movable piece to me. Like Herb is a replaceable piece because I think Herb got a lot of limitations, right? And he's older at the end of the day. So if the Kuminga deal is available, I see Herb for Kuminga or something like that, because even Cam Thomas to this point, because Cam is a young bucket getter. Like Cam is a young bucket getter. So I would be open to like those types of moves. The pool updates are where they keep pushing the date back to the next game. I don't know, man. We're gonna see. If we were to go to a rebuild now, would be the perfect time. We have 3 stars that can fill really good spots, and the timeline would fit us being competitive by possibly 2029. So, like, here's the thing. Here's like my thought. What do we mean by rebuild? Because if like, are we talking about like a moving Z kind of rebuild? Like what kind of rebuild, I guess? Because if you look at it right now, we in a rebuild. If you can move off of, if like, I don't know what you get for Hawkins and stuff like that, to be honest. I just feel like you got to make the move though. Like you got to make the move to do something there. And I think Herb realistically is one of your better pieces. I know a lot of people don't want to move Herb. So my thing is if you're not going to move Herb, right, I think you have to put Herb on the bench. Again, I've been saying this, man, to maximize Herb Jones. Like look at, for example, and shout out to Schmidt. Schmidt made this point on his show, so I don't want to feel like I'm stealing his point, but Schmidt made the point like Herb is like an Alex Caruso to a degree, right? Well, Alex Caruso, while is a very impactful player, Alex Caruso off the bench at 20 minutes a game is very different than Herb playing 35. Like, you got to think Herb for us is playing 35 minutes a game, bro. He's not Lou Dort. Like, if you gave me Herb off the bench at 25 to 22, that's a very impactful player, right? So I think you need to try and get to a situation where you're there so you can maximize the starting lineup. But Herb getting 30 to 35 minutes a game, bro, like it's just not helping your team, in my opinion. Not helping your team, but like he's in the lineup that they're playing with is not helping them produce. He's just not. Why do you think the Pelicans have to trade Herb, Jose? Our bench is already not good. Why trade more good players? So like are you gonna put them on the bench to like strengthen the bench? That would be my so my first solution, and you need players to come back. You need players to come back to even try this, right? Like if Poole comes back and DeJounte comes back, and let's say you don't make any trades right away, and then your starting lineup, looks something like DeJounte, Poole, Z Trey Queen, DeJounte Poole, Z Trey Queen, and then your bench has Sadiq Bey, Fears, Herb, Missy, Carlo. Like, that's not bad. Like, but again, people are so infatuated with Herb, like, as a starter, to where I don't think that maximizes the roster. So if you're not going to make the trades, then, and that's why I want to see, like, when they get healthy, what are the things that you're going to be able to do? Because I think, as like, to lean back to like what we talking about, like with some of the habits, you'll be able to like max up, like to try and eliminate some of the habits when you got players like Herb on the second unit. It's like, bro, listen, we like, hopefully you're not having Herb as a decision maker in transition when you got Fears on the bench. Like, find the point guard, right? Or when you got better players on offense that actually give you some space and stuff like that. You know, it's not, you don't have to work as hard offensively. You got to work defensively regardless. But the more talent you have out there, the better. That's just the way that's just the way sports works for the most part. If by the trade deadline we're not over the threshold of being competitive again, move Z, Trey and Herb, recoup the picks, acquire Cam Thomas. I think, but they look so bad. So this is the thing, they look so bad to where you're lowering their value by the game, right? You're lowering their value by the game. And if that's the case, I'd rather not move them. Like, I'm not blowing them up to just to blow it up. That's why when the report came out that people was talking about them making like a win now move, I don't think a win now move means like win today, but like if you were able to acquire for Herb a player that possibly is going to be a part of your core, as opposed to like a young unknown or something like that. Like, I think Cam, and just to use Cam Thomas' name as an example, I don't know necessarily if Cam Thomas is this player, but we talking about Cam, so let's just use Cam as an example. Cam is a young player that we know could get buckets at the end of the day. So if you acquire Cam Thomas, you already know what it is you getting in Cam Thomas, and you trying to like figure that out. He's not some unknown player at this point. If you acquire Cam Thomas, like, I think that's more of a, like, you don't have to give up Z or Trey to get Cam Thomas. At least I don't think so, right? And Cam only making $6 million a year right now. So like, you'd have to sign him after this. But like, that would be a move to where I'm like, okay, you're acquiring talent to have somebody to stick around and help the talent part of this roster. Like, not blowing it up to where essentially you're gonna be bad, but while you're being bad, you still gotta acquire talent. In my, like, that's just my thought. And our defense is already not good. Our defense will be even worse than it is already. I don't think it makes no sense to trade. I'm assuming you're talking about Herb. You don't think it makes sense to trade Herb because the defense is already bad? Yeah, but if it's already bad, then like, what is he gonna do? Because he's not good defensively right now. Like, the one thing that he's supposed, like, they use Herb, for example, like, it's two things that they use Herb for. They use Herb when they play like star players, like Herb, you got the star. Well, the stars still get off, right? Like, you're not stopping Shea. You're not stopping Ja. You're not stopping Luka. Like, you're not, like, we've seen it this season against those players, right? Or the top end players. All right, so you're not stopping those players. Okay. The other thing that Herb does, like, is really good off ball, right? That's why it was good with Dyson. Dyson was the better on ball defender, which allowed Herb to play. Dyson and Najee were really good on ball defenders, so they allowed Herb to like play safety and help and do all of that kind of stuff. Well, he's not even really doing that right now. If you remember, like a couple years ago, Herb used to have like 3 and 4 and 5 steals a game and stuff like that. You don't even really see that. So when you take Herb's defensive impact away, right? Because he's not making the plays that he makes. And again, it's also part of the roster and all of that. I get it. But like, you have to just lean into what it is that you're trying to do. And that's offense. And the problem is that his offense doesn't help the offense. And while he's an older player, like you need Herb to be like a settler. Like, or you need the older players on his team to actually be smart and be like, all right, hold on, let's run some offense. Let's pull it out. Let's settle down. Like, those are what your older players supposed to be. That's the point of being a vet. But these dudes not playing like vets, right? Like, that's really what they're supposed to be doing. Serious question. What does this team look like going into All-Star break or even a trade deadline? Awful. That's what they look like. I don't know, man, to be honest, because again, you kind of got to give Borrego benefit of the doubt. Like they said, he's only had one practice, and this team, every game you see him, they're trying to break some of the habits, but even Borrego is leaning into some of it. Like, why are we going ISO ball at the end of the game? Right? Like, you've been running sets successfully. Establish what it is you want to do now. Like, we're gonna run this offense. We not going one for a little, like with Z, and just live with the decision. Not saying that you can't, but like, now is the time to break all the shit that they've been doing, and you can try whatever it is you want. And that's why I think making sure they run offense at every point of the game for this team is what matters. Listen, man, we playing through Z and Queen at all points, right? They got to be on the floor at all times. Not saying them, but like, you can't go stretches of the game without like your starters or some capacity of the matchups on the floor, because now you're stuck in trying to figure out how to create, and they don't have no advantage creators. They don't have ISO ball players. So like, I don't know what they look like. Like, I just want them to stop complaining and get back on defense first, right? Stop throwing the damn lob on offense. Like, in transition, like, just, can we do those? Like, I want to see that. So again, they've made some progression, but I just think it's tough, man. We're gonna see. During the Dumars interview, he mentioned that they were looking for players with high basketball IQ. Looking at the Pelicans, it seems the rookie has a higher IQ than the vets. So the rookie being Queen, but you got to understand that these dudes are young and they still rookies, right? So they gonna do what rookies do. And every player in the NBA also has ego and stuff like that, right? Like, you got to be to a degree to get to this level. And the reason I say that, because we talk about the IQ, is like, for example, when Z passed that ball to Fizz, right? And Fizz took the shot. And a lot of people upset with Z, he didn't face up or whatever. Like, all of that. My thing is if you pass that ball to Jeremiah Fizz, that dude was a 7th-round pick. He got it going. Like, he gave you the first opportunity of passing it back. If you pass it back to him again, I'm shooting it. The IQ part of it is, dog, there's 17 seconds left on the shot clock. This is not a good look right now, right? So you got to go the ups and downs of playing with and through your rookies as much as you plan them. But like, I think they have good IQ, but at the same time, they don't know the game enough. They don't know the NBA game enough. They don't know like what it takes in the margins of victories and stuff like that. Again, Jeremiah Fizz is 19, man. I touched the rock, I'm shooting it, though, which is also why I think he needs to come off the bench so he can be himself until he figures out certain things of the game. This works, this doesn't work. You get more film, you get stuff like, you get all of these coaching points to break down. So I hope that's one of the things that when they did watch the film, they coached him up on. It's like, hey, bro, listen, it was 17 seconds left on the shot clock in a 1-point game, and we took a 3. Like, show him his last couple possessions. You have been getting to the rim and getting fouled. Like those are the things that I need them to be like hammering into the rookies, pause, right? So they can have those mindsets of what it takes to win these games, or at least be competitive. Mike is where Herb is at, maybe a little high, and he's a rookie. Dog, give Micah the time. Well, I don't want to say give Micah the time. I think Herb still is obviously a better player, but I'm saying you see Micah making his way, coming along slowly. And again, he's another player that it took forever to get on the court. Like Willie, like you didn't see no Micah minutes when Willie Green was coaching the team. So it's good to at least see some of it. That's the part that like is really frustrating to me, because Hawkins had been bad for a while. Like, and as a defensive coach, which Willie was, like, why wouldn't you even try to play? Like, you don't like Hawkins anyway. So why wouldn't you play the defensive guy? You played Hurt from day one. Like, think about how much further Micah probably could be along. I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. A losing team having a defensive ace makes no sense. You're gonna lose regardless. You're gonna lose regardless. That's a great point. And you're not a defensive ace. Realistically, like, when the last time we seen Herb locked down? And it's not to take shots at her, but like, when the last time we seen her put the clamps on somebody? Like, he had a good defensive game against was it Golden State? I think he had a good defensive game against Golden State. No, it wasn't Golden State. Who was it? Was it Portland maybe? One of those games Herb had a good defensive game. But it don't matter, because I could point to every game that we played, and you see Shaden Sharp get off. Denny Avida, how you pronounce it? Denny, right? He balled out that game. Moses Moody went for 30. Like, Max Christie got it going. PJ Washington got it going. Cooper Flagg had 30. Like, what is our defensive ace doing? So if that's the case, you can't play him like a defensive ace. He has to be more like a secondary playmaker, which is why I think putting him on the bench makes sense. You got to focus on building a culture of winning, actually putting the ball in the basket first. Offense only. JB is an offensive coach. He's an offensive coach. So you have to have the tools, which is why I'm hoping when you get Poole back, and again, I'm still waiting to see when Poole comes back. I hope they make the switch, man, and you see Herb go to the bench or Fears go to the bench. One of the two. Ideally, to me, honest, like, you'll probably see Fears, because of, I think, what Herb means to the team. But if it's me, I'm benching Herb. It's time to rebuild. Get a couple picks out the first, the early, mid. Find the right role players to have around Queen and Fizz. Be competitive right now is unrealistic. Have no long-term game. But my thing is what we giving up to get like the first round picks or the first or mid early round picks or whatever, because that's really what it is. And do they like anybody in this draft like that? Like, I think you could wait until closer to the offseason to like make the move. Like, I don't think it serves you no purpose to make the move right now. Like, nobody's really healthy. You don't know what you're looking at. Like, you probably know if you trade people or bring them in, you're probably not going to win anyway. It's probably best to try and figure out what it is you got right now. And if you are going to make a move for like the outer pieces, right? Like Hawkins, Jose, like whoever else off the bench that you need to move, like upgrade those spots. I don't think like right now it makes sense to move a Z or something like that, because I just don't think it serves you no purpose. Like, just moving him to move him don't make sense to me. Z will be pushing 30 soon, and the fan base will think he live up to the potential. I'm over the Z trade. And why he has value, but he don't have no value. That's the thing. He don't have no value. And you got him for 2 more seasons, regardless of what you got going on right now. Like, and we could say it's addition by subtraction sometimes, but you see the difference in when he's on the court and when he's not. He's probably going to play tonight, right? And they're going to look different than they did against the Hawks. Do that result in the win? I don't know. I doubt it. But when he plays, they look different. Mike is the perfect example of where a team should go young talent, have around Queen and Fizz, get more pieces. You can do that. The reason I mentioned IQ is that I saw Murphy and Jones make the exact same mistakes you described during crunch time, which cost me leading the last game. Exactly, bro. Exactly. Like you have to. The IQ part is a real the IQ, and which is why I'm talking about habits. Like this stuff seemed like example. We all came into this season talking about Trey possibly taking the All-Star league, right? And I'm sure Trey put a lot of work into his game. I'm pretty sure Trey put a lot of work into his game. But that don't necessarily mean that coming into this season right now that the work has translated as far as like the skills that he's trying to implement, right? Like you can tell he probably worked on a lot of his ball handling and stuff like that. But honestly, it gets you in more trouble. It gets you in more trouble. You've been more effective when you've been doing less. So I think Trey needs to realize, right? Well, damn, I think I'm a better player when I'm look at how he plays off of Queen and when Z and stuff is in the game. Like when he has less dribbles, very definitive in what it is he's doing, he looks like the player we thought he would look like. At the rack, finishing, cutting, catching and shooting, stuff like that. So like these dudes need to have an understanding of who they are and their limitations in the game, bro. Like you don't have to try and do too much. Same thing with Herb Jones. Like Herb being overly aggressive in transition is not only a low IQ play, but that's also like it's a low IQ play, especially if it's not one-on-one. If it's not you and one man, like if it's you and one dude, I understand. But if it's like two people back, dog, just pull it out. One, that's not your skill set. And two, what are we teaching? What are we teaching? Because like I know you want to teach them to play fast and stuff, but we also again need to teach smart basketball. Smart basketball. The biggest mistake was not firing Willie early enough. After that, every decision is going to be too late. I agree. I agree because it's tough to come back from the entire offseason. The entire offseason is dog. Listen, like we're gonna have to talk about the Schmidt pie when he talked about how essentially it was a little bit of jealousy kind of between Willie and James Borrego a couple seasons ago when he first got here. And I don't know if y'all watched it or not, but essentially what he was saying was that James Borrego had BI and Z working after the game on their two-man game, right? On their two-man game, had them working for a couple practices and then used it at the end of the game. It paid off. They ended up winning. And then after that, you seen Willie Green kind of like starting to try and oversee what was going on. And then all of that stuff kind of went away. Like, with that being the case, not getting that already lets you know that Willie Green was not like it was either my way. I'd rather lose. I'd rather lose than listen. Or I'd rather lose than do it your way. Or you don't get the credit for our success. I'm going to get the credit for our success, or we're gonna go down. Like people like that, you gotta get out the building. And when stuff like that start coming out, to be honest, I'm just more so like, I don't fault nobody for nothing, man. This entire thing is a shit show. It's a shit show. Like you can't be. It's hard. It's really hard to thrive under these circumstances. Like, and you hear all of the former Pelican players, they talk about the organization when they leave. And while, we fans of the team and you don't want people to talk bad about it because all of those players weren't perfect, that don't mean some of the stuff they're saying ain't true, bro. Some of the stuff they're saying ain't true. Always too, like if the only reason Willie was here for, 2 more seasons than he was supposed to was because of a relationship and somebody liking him, like, again, that's a complete disservice to the players that were here. Imagine we don't even know if Z and BI could have worked or not. If we being honest, we know it couldn't have worked because of how it looked watching them on the court and what we think their personal relationship seemed like. They seem cool, but like not the coolest. But at the same time, like if you're not forcing them to like work together effectively and do the things that help the team win and help both of them be successful and grow on those habits, they're doomed to fail. Like, it's a lot of good players that we lost in the midst of this. Like, frustrating. Kings have Sabonis on. I'm not trading Sabonis for Z. I'm not trading Z for Sabonis. I'm sorry. And I want Sabonis to be on the team, but Sabonis would have to be an addition, to be honest. And I won't lie, with the emergence of Queen and how they playing with Queen, and I was all about trading for Sabonis. I think I'm still in for trading for Sabonis, but my only hesitation with trading for Sabonis is you kind of got to play through him too. And I do like the idea of having multiple people that you can play with, that you can play through the game with. So I'm just wondering how that will work. Like, can Sabonis play off ball with Derek Queen? Because essentially, if that's the case, like, Queen and Sabonis got to be your starting 4 and 5. And I think they could work because they both work on and off the ball. But like, Sabonis has been most effective playing on the ball. So I'm just wondering how that would look with Queen as your starter. As your starter. But I'm not trading Sabonis. I'm not trading Z for Sabonis. I'm trading, if I'm going to get Sabonis, it need to be for like Murray and Herb or something like that. Is it true that Zion is on a non-guaranteed contract? Yeah, but it's non-guaranteed in the fact that, like, you can let him go. You can let him go for nothing. You got he has a lot of clauses, like weight clauses and stuff like that in his contract that will like void his money. But again, I don't think, like, it'll be really hard to like exercise those, in my opinion. So it's kind of like either you void the contract completely and you get rid of him for nothing, or he's gonna get all his money. It's not like it's partially guaranteed and stuff like that, I think. I have nothing against JB, but we need to get all the bad juju and voodoo from the last years. I don't mind cleaning house, bro. I don't mind cleaning house. I am interested in him finishing the season and what it is that JB looks like. Like, give him an opportunity to really implement his stuff. Because right now, with not having the offseason, you just gotta get out all again the habits, man. These fucking guys, they shoot best shots. They make dumb mistakes. They still weak with the ball. They get away from the offense. They don't get back in transition. They complain. They lack effort at all times. Like, I understand, like, the Zeke, you cannot gamble, right? At the end of the game, that's another thing. Like, Queen gambled for the steal, ended up Z having to recover on Najee, and Z supposed to you got to show more effort on the closeout, right? All closeouts, you got to show more effort on all closeouts. And that's how they be getting popped for 30 when Moses Moody get popped for 30. Just because he in the scouting report, they're like, hey, we're going to let him shoot, don't mean you turn your back and walk away from people. Like, it's still NBA players, bro. If you let me see a couple of them go in, like, bitch, I'm going to hit you. So you still got to do your part. Like, and that stuff that's got to be coached. Like, you can't have that. You can't have that kind of effort. I was thinking of trying to snag Ace from Utah, and when I saw Michael play and I saw Ace foul out in 10 minutes, I said, never mind. Said, dog, listen, I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't mind Ace. My partner, Mike that do the show with us, man, he been shouting out, talking about Brandon Miller, like seeing Z to Charlotte for Brandon Miller and stuff. Brandon Miller been hurt a good little bit. Brandon Miller got a little bit of that PGBI kind of game to him. I think we absolutely need a wing. We need a wing that scores and shoots. Like, today's NBA, like, and that's the only knock I have against Z, like, is our offense don't generate enough threes because, again, your best player don't shoot no threes. And that's fine, but you got too many players that don't shoot threes. Like, if everybody else shot them, then it would be cool. But nobody else in the starting lineup other than Trey shoot the 3-ball. You got to do something about that. So I would be okay with, like, again, man, I think you need a wing scorer in today's league of some kind. Or, you just kind of got to be patient until, like, you got, even with Denver, like, Michael Porter Jr. used to be able to fill it up, to fill it up from the wing. Like, and they still got Jamal Murray who scores from the outside. So like, you just gotta have that in today's game, like at an elite level or a high enough level. What is the point of trading Z now or at the trade deadline when you know you're going to get nothing from him anyway? Build his value back up, trade in the offseason. They want to do that. I agree. I think there's more value. I think there's more value having Zion on the team and letting him play and making it easier for the players on the court, because that's just what he does. Like, allowing them to not have to struggle so hard, like to struggle so much when they play, as opposed to just giving them up for somebody who's gonna, like, because more than likely you giving them up for another not unknown prospect, but you probably giving them up for a young player who's coming in trying to make their name and stuff like that too. So like, you got some risk in that. But again, bro, y'all say what y'all want. Z's a really good player. He's just not on the court. But when he is, he's available. But if you losing, it don't matter anyway. If you losing with him, you losing without him. What's the difference? I just think make it either. Sabonis is known to be soft across the league. Maybe. But you ain't being competitive right now anyway. I prefer to have his 2010 and 8. 2012 and whatever. I just mentioned this to one of my boys. Let's see. The kid from BYU, Brandon Miller, Ace, are the same player. I'm good with that, though. I'm good with that. Listen, everybody talking about, so this is the part that's crazy too, right? If you follow the draft, right? All of these people were talking about this draft was supposed to, like, and again, it's still early, right? It's still early. A lot of these freshmen haven't really got going and stuff like that. But oh man, this is one of the best drafts, and they do this shit every year. It's one of the best drafts in the last, I don't know how long. These prospects are can't miss prospects and blah, blah, blah. And then if you notice, you've been seeing reports about Cam Boozer. Oh, maybe Cam Boozer is soft and undersized. Then, like, you seeing that already. You got one day they comparing AJ to T-Mac, and then you got another video. They was like, this dude can't shoot. This dude might not have he might not have the offensive tools to be a good player in the league. So, like, I don't know, bro. It really just depends on who you follow. So, like, them giving up the pick and whatnot for Queen, like, obviously you would have wanted the pick, but the skill set in Queen, in my opinion, is already proven. But you definitely need a wing player of some kind in this league that could just get buckets, like, and grow to, like, athletic. Don't get like, you need wing players. Like, you need wing players. That's why I've always wanted the stretch five, since Z shoots none. Some got to come from you. Yeah. Even Queen gonna need a stretch five to a degree. Like a young Brook Lopez would be. That's why, honestly, when I was looking at I put out my first, like, Z trade I did. That's why the trade had Khalil Ware in that. And to be honest, that's the part that pissed me off about Griff, because yeah, we got Missy, but it was easy to move up in that draft last year. You could have moved up and got Khalil Ware last year. Now imagine if you would have had Khalil Ware already on this roster with the shooting and rim protection and like all of the stuff that dude provide. Like that, though, some of the stuff that Griff did in the draft, like, really, really missed. Like, he missed on a lot, bro. Like, it was really frustrating. What we at? Hold on. That's why we keep a stretch five next to Giannis. You got to. Your bigs got to shoot, man. They got to be able to defend, rebound, and space the floor. That's the game today, especially if you're not gonna have elite shooting guards. I love Z. He a big part of why I chose New Orleans Pelicans, but it's one of those abusive relationships where the love is there, but you need to let it go. Yeah, sometimes you got to know when to walk away. But before you walk away, sometimes there's just those moments of, like, silence. You know what I mean? When you kind of just stay to yourself. I think we in, like, that stay to ourselves part, but we just kind of, like, letting it play out at the end of the day. Like, we know Z probably not gonna change, but we're not quite ready. Like, we ain't found the apartment to move into yet. You ain't quite got your money together. You ain't quite got the money together to go put that down payment yet. You kind of got to stack a little bit first. That's kind of where we at. Like, we at the position where, like, we probably need to move on, but we ain't quite ready yet to move on. Like we at one of the first steps where you see Queen looking promising, and then it's kind of like, oh, I think I found the place that I want to go to, right? We at that step, but we ain't quite ready to put that deposit down yet. We don't have that money. Queen, with a year of experience in NBA, will absolutely go #1 in next year's draft. Case closed. Probably, though. Queen was like the offensive talent. He was top 5 offensive talent in this year's draft. And if you look at the skill sets of the people coming, like the skill set, and that's why you start seeing a lot of people that cover the league, like kind of like talk about him as much as like, oh wait, yeah, the Pelicans got let Queen continue to develop. Let Queen continue to develop and watch how people say Queen need to get out of New Orleans. Watch it. It's just what happens all the time. That's just what they do with our players. Z is literally a phenomenon, but it's hard to win when we wasted so much time and he never stays on the court. Super frustrated. I want to believe, but I think we took too long to build. We made too many mistakes. And not only did we make too many mistakes, we are not willing. And again, I made this point before on one of the other shows that like, I already made the point on other shows of like, this is where the ownership matters. Because if Griff, let's say, you can say whatever you want about Griff, that Griff made some bad decisions. Absolutely. One of Griff's traits was he might not have been proactive. He was very reactive. Like if he made a mistake, he would try to he would overpay to fix the mistake. So when he saw he had the mistake in Willie Green, he brought in Borrego to fix the mistake. The problem was the ownership was not willing to let him make the decision, which is why and if it's because you know he bad, like if you know he's bad, but you like him, that's not like a good reason to keep somebody. So that's how you know like these things don't matter. Again, look at the Suns owner, bro. Look at the Suns owner. The Suns have fired their coach every season until they got one that they feel like is right. And it looked like they finally got it right with the dude they got now. Right? They went veteran coach. They all kinds of coaches. Frank Vogel. They went Frank Vogel. Who was the first initially? I think Monty got fired. Frank got fired. Who's the other dude, man? Budenholzer got fired, and they got the new dude now. That's what it takes, but it seemed like they finally got it right. You think James Borrego is what we've seen? Coach JB so far, 5 to 6 games. He's the coach. But do you think he has worse? He is worse than Willie Green, so it's a real still. But what you I think JB need time. Is he said in the opening interview it was going to take 5 to 10 games, right? And even in his 5 to 10 games, he haven't had a consistent roster. Now, with that being the case, that's just, part of the deal. But I think the fact that he is working on the fly to try and undo so much of what was done, and they haven't had an opportunity to practice, is why you see a lot of what it is they look like. Well, you see them look good in stretches, but when they start looking good, they start feeling good, then they get back into some of the old habits, right? It's like, you know how when you go to the gym, right? Let's say you decide to start working out and you start working out and you start seeing some progress, and then you cut your diet, you at the gym, you running every day, you doing all of that. But then when you start seeing some progress, it's like, oh, I can take an off day. No, you can't afford to take no off days. You got to keep going to build on the habits. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with the Pelicans somewhat. Like the offense will get rolling and they'll see the progress and then they'll be like, ooh, we killing them. And then you go back to doing the stuff that you was doing that just backtracks the progress. Like, so I think that's kind of what you're seeing with JB right now. Made the same point this upcoming draft, front office selected the players in the past draft. Exactly. Get your guy now, the guy you know. And they look right. People already saying they want Queen off the Pelicans. Exactly. The second that, give it some time. Watch Fears and Queen, because both of them look good. But Queen looked like a real difference maker, and Fears looked like he could be a difference maker. Let them dudes watch by game 50. By game 50 of the season, if they stay healthy, how good they're gonna look. And I think they're gonna look really good with like JB by the time game 50 come, right? You're gonna absolutely hear people being like, man, I'm sad those dudes on that terrible ass organization. Because regardless if you move Zion or not, you still got a lot of other things that you got to do to get the organization moving in the right spot. You got to hire the right coach. You got to make sure you keep the right people around them. You got to make the right relationships amongst the league. You still got to like acquire the right kind of talent. Like it's still a long way to go in the process of being competitive and doing right by your rookies. So like it's just the keeping Willie Green just really, to me, like the reason they kept Willie Green just really was a hindrance to everybody. And that's an organizational decision. And it's kind of the way that they've operated. So I don't know what it is. Like, I just don't know what it is we're going to see from Joe Dumars moving forward. Like right now they hit on the draft. They did fire Willie. We'll see how much time they give JB, based on how he looks. And we'll see as far as like a talent acquisition. Like we just got to wait and see. Shout out to you and Boo Crew. When the team is bad, still got something to watch. Bro, listen, I'm going to be here, dog. Appreciate y'all. And listen, there's a lot of people out there doing Pelicans stuff, Pelicans content, trying to get it out. But I think with my show, and what I try to do is I try to think about, at least with my opinions, at least, I just think it's so frustrating. So I try to like look at it from like the realistic side of it. And everybody does give their realistic opinion and view. So shout out to them. But I'm saying, I just think like when I do my opinion, I'm just thinking about it like, dog, how can anybody thrive in this situation? Like, yeah, I understand being frustrated with Z, but at the same time, dog, if I was 19 and I came to this shit, they told me I wasn't the guy. Like, I'm watching them. I like Lonzo. I'm watching them move Lonzo and not get nothing back for Lonzo. I'm watching them bring in Stan. I like Stan, and then they get rid of Stan. They bring in Willie. Willie's supposed to be my guy, but not really. He's Brandon's guy. And then Brandon ended up don't liking him. We got some success, but then they go away from what's successful. Like, it's a shit. You know what? No, I don't want to be here. No. And like, Zedon already done another way. He can't ask for a trade, but like, dog, it's just, I don't blame none of the players for nothing, to be honest. And that's what happens when you in a bad organization. The organization is bad. So I can't fault the players for having they issues and stuff like that, where we want to blame them, as like we want to blame the players because that's what we see. But at the same time, it's like, dog, all of this shit bad. And it falls down, like it just runs downhill. I said it once and I said a million times. They like NOLA the city, but not the teams. When we win is luck. When we lose, we don't deserve a team. The players are wasting away down here. The NBA and media in general would love for the organization and the teams to be good. I think there's no place like New Orleans. And again, I keep saying that's why you see the NBA wanting to do all-star games, and you would see the NFL constantly wanting to do the Super Bowl and the Sugar Bowl and all of this, bro. There is nothing like New Orleans for like, especially for events and stuff like that. If the NBA, if the team was good, if the Pelicans were, you remember when they first drafted Zion, they was throwing them on TV at all, like every chance that they could. If they just so happened to be good, bro, like you would see all kind of stuff. So Queen might give you a look, like Queen starting to generate that league buzz that people are talking about, but the team is 2 and whatever. The motherfucker might go 2-80. You cannot be that bad. But there's optimism that you can turn it around. Look at the Pistons. The Pistons turned it around. They've been bad for an extremely long time. You just got to get the right people in place. JB is clearly a better situational adjustment coach than Willie. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's not a question. How do you think Joe Dumars has done as the Pelicans so far, even with the Pelicans' bad start to the season? So I didn't mind the moves. right? To be honest, I really like the moves. I like moving CJ for Poole and Sadiq Bey. I think you saw some return from Sadiq Bey, and I think honestly you were seeing early return from Jordan Poole before, Willie decided to throw him on the bench, and then he got hurt. So I like the moves. Obviously, I like the what you see from Queen and Fizz. I think you hit on both of your rookies. So that part of it, like taking the pick out of it, right? I think that's at least me personally, it got me to buy a season ticket. So I'm giving it an A. I'm giving it an A. Not firing Willie Green is an F. Not firing Willie Green after 0-6 is an F minus minus, right? Like F minus minus. Like I just can't get on board with losing, make an adjustment to lose worse, make an adjustment to lose, like to see progress and then continue to do things that help you lose. And then you got to have the owner come out and give like y'all shouldn't have had to come to the conclusion of the interview for him to make the decision to fire Willie. And if it was at 0-6, y'all already made the decision to fire Willie and y'all decided not to do it just because the information had leaked. That's a whack ass decision, bro. You can't do that type of stuff because one, you costing people time, you costing people money, you costing people opportunity, you costing livelihood. Like that's just a bad reasoning to not do it. It's a bad reasoning to not do it. And that shit whack. That's whack because instead of being 0-6, and I said this too, instead of being 2 and whatever, right? You probably could have used them 2 wins against Charlotte to start implementing some of the stuff. Like some of those games you could have used to prepare for where you at right now. Like now you had one of his toughest stretches with no practices, no games, and nothing like that. You could probably be 10 games into the JB experiment and have an idea like, all right, this is what we got to do to make this thing work. Queen probably would have been playing, right? Queen could have been further along. Like it's just so many things that like waiting till you're 2-10, you know what I mean? Or 2-12 or whatever the hell, 2-10 at the time when they made the firing. Like it's just you get an F. So the Willie Green decision was so bad. And then if you think about the training camp that it cost them, and then the preseason that it cost them, and the mad losing streaks, like it's just F, 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 F grade. We hit on the draft and Willie gone. Joey D is doing swell. Took too long. You did hit on the draft. And now it needs to make it all together. I'm frustrated that the timing of it, right? The timing of it. Now, I'll say this. In the grand scheme of things, it's fine because Willie Green is now gone. And Willie Green being gone gives you optimism and hope. And you still got most of the season. Thankfully, it wasn't 20 or 30 games in. And they did do it at only 12 games. So if I'm gonna look at that part, that is the benefit of it. But I just not firing Willie. It just really, really was frustrating for me. I know we're not a good team. Why do people hate the Pelicans so much? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know. I never thought about it, to be honest. Why people hate the Pelicans. After watching other Pels pies, you better. I try other pies, be comedians, other stuff. Man, listen, I'm not gonna talk down about no other person doing Pels content. All those dudes support me. I support them, but I appreciate you though. I absolutely appreciate you, bro. It means a lot, dog. Especially it's like my first time. I had a previous pod before. It was about some other about some personal stuff, which is why I always like to reference personal situations that we could relate to and kind of put yourself in these people's shoes to kind of make it, you know what I mean? Just kind of make it easy to understand, easy to digest. Because when you're talking about $1 million athletes in a $1 billion industry, it's hard to relate to these dudes. But if you think about them as like regular people, like you kind of give them a pass. And like at the end of the day, all of these dudes are still really, really young. Like, so we have a lot of high expectations for the players and stuff like that. Like, we expect them to be professional and all of that. Like, though, how long it takes some people to take their first job serious? I'm just being honest. Like, we talk about Z, and I understand you getting paid millions, and that's part of the responsibility and stuff like that. But like, some people just not that responsible early. Sometimes it takes time. It takes change. It take a lot. It takes somebody guiding you, which is why having like Stan around early, you saw a good season from Zion, and then they remove him. Right? You got to invest in that. And like it kind of is upsetting because while Griffin preached about the personal aspect and the people aspect of things, I don't think he invested enough in the person that was going to be able to turn this thing around. Was really excited to watch Poole this season. How long does he stay if we blow it up? Is there a world where he stays on the team past this contract? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I like Poole, and early in the process when they talked about acquiring. So here's the question that I have. If Joe said, and he reiterated this when they made the move to JB, that like the decisions made like this season was not based off win losses, right? The decision was not based off win losses and how the team was going to progress moving forward. Like, I just need to see how they look. If that's the case, I wonder if like acquiring Poole, Z, whatever, if that is a long-term move, because Joe when they acquired Poole said, man, look at the age, right? These dudes could be around for the next 4 or 5 years. Right. And he talked about Poole coming off the bench and stuff like that. So I don't know if Poole gets an extension per se, but if you take their words to have some kind of meaning, it's possible that like literally you trying to find your coach right now and like the outer pieces, because he talked about Z being the face of the franchise, Queen and Fizz being here long term, Poole being able to help supplement and trade, right? Like, if that's the case, you could keep them beyond this year and just add pieces around them that kind of help supplement the team. And if Queen develops into what it is we think he could develop into, right? Like, I look at our situation similar to how shout out to Mike again, man. Mike made this point where, remember when Minnesota had only Karl Anthony Towns, and like you saw Cat was like ultra talented, but like essentially Cat kind of like a 2. Ant got there with that number one mentality and like essentially took over the team, became the face and all of that. Like, well, if that's the case, you probably could keep Z for another year or two. You got him signed for 3 more seasons. You could keep Z if Queen becomes your face or Fears becomes your face. If Trey is your face, like that's just a good player that you have on your team that helps, right? So I don't think necessarily regarding like Poole being here. I don't know if he gets an extension per se or if they move him for something per se, but it's also a possibility that they're just in talent acquisition mode, which is if they are in talent acquisition mode, it would make sense for them to say, we need to make not an all-in win now move, but if the wins this year don't matter necessarily, then go get you another good player. Cam Thomas, Jonathan Kuminga. That's why I think they was linked to players like that. It's the name they hate us. Bro, I don't like the name of the Pelicans. The logo was fire, but I don't like the name. If they go to another, we need a rebrand. That's what we need. Want Coach JB to get the Pelicans right. Do you think with the West being so close the way it is, do you think we get the season back on track? You gotta get the players healthy for some stretch of time, at least, in order for them to do anything. Like, you gotta have at least a 20 to 30 game stretch of Z Poole, and everybody, like Z Poole, Trey, Herb, Queen, Fears, Missy, Carlo, like Sadiq, and maybe you could add Murray into that. You got to have at least your top 8 guys healthy for at least 20 to 30 games to really give it a shot, in my opinion. I recall hearing on a podcast that the owner asked Joe to keep Willie because she liked him. Yeah, yes. It seemed there was a set number of games to give Willie before Dumas can make the change. I think it wasn't a set number of games. I think they asked him to give Willie an opportunity because they liked Willie. They don't. If, to be honest, what they should have did, if they liked him so much, and I said this, they should have moved him upstairs. They should have moved him into a front office role if they liked him so much. Get that motherfucker out, like off the sideline and do what the Celtics did with Brad Stevens. Get him, make him like, they could have made him like a player consultant or like player personnel, relationships guy, something like that. If you liked him that much and you thought he was good for the organization, you wanted to keep him in, move him upstairs. Now, if they offered him that and he refused, then we would have had to let him go. But if that was the case, you could have did that. Moved him into a front office role because you knew the coaching wasn't good. But yes, that's what the report was. Y'all remember we started 3-16 a few years back and made the playoffs with Willie at the helm and no Zion. We could do this shit if we really buy in now, not later. So like what ended up happening was you had BI kind of turning up, and then they brought in CJ later on. So like if you need in this case, what you need Poole to kind of get, like, if you're gonna equate this season to that season, an example of that would be like, let's say Z is in and out, right? Because right now Z is back, but they're kind of working through it or whatever. But let's just say the season play out right now, and like everybody's out, you get Poole back and all of that. That would be like them playing and kind of like finally starting to find some rhythm, right? Because they didn't really start doing okay until right before the trade deadline. So like January-ish, you know what I mean? They started to look decent, right? If that's the case, that's when you do something, and then you finally start getting some wins. You start looking like the team JB trying to transition you into. You get these badass habits out of the building, right? Like when I say out of the building, I don't know if it necessarily means moving the players necessarily, but like you coach out the terrible habits that they have. Get that out the way, and then maybe you make a move for a player that like is not necessarily, like a lot of people have been talking about Zach LaVine, right? Like I don't know what you move to get Zach LaVine necessarily. I'm assuming it's got to be Murray to a degree, because Zach LaVine help. Absolutely, Zach LaVine can help. We talked about Zach LaVine last year in the BI deal. Now think about this: if you move BI, right? If you move BI for nothing that you kept, because they didn't keep nothing for what they like. What's his name? Olynyk is gone, Bruce Brown is gone, and the pick that you got for BI, essentially that's gone too. You used it to trade up and get Queen, but everything you had for BI is gone. Dog, you could have traded and got Zach LaVine and had Zach LaVine on the same roster right now. Right? Like, and you say what you want, but Zach LaVine would absolutely help this roster. All the turnaround and possibly go try and get Zach LaVine anyway. So I'm just saying, if you were to bring in a player like that, if you start to show some life, you could have a chance of fighting in the West, because again, man, the West not good. The West not good at the top. It's good at the top, which is what we thought, but you ain't competing for the top. So I don't know. Just don't move no damn draft picks. Like, don't move no draft picks. But you could make some. Sacramento about to get off of everybody. If I could get off Sacramento for like, if I could get Zach LaVine or Sabonis, and at this point, Zach LaVine probably fits a little bit more than Sabonis because of what you're trying to do with Queen. But if I could get Zach LaVine for Murray and Hawk, or something like Murray, Hawk, Jose, and something like that, like, yes, I do it. I do it. I don't know how many years Zach got left on his deal, but like, fuck it, why not? Be exciting to watch. We do need a rebrand. What comes first? Rebrand or culture change? I feel like a rebrand would establish a culture change, to be honest. You already in the process of changing the culture. Like, So like the culture is changing right now as you shift into Queen and Fizz. Like you already see that happening. The coach is gone, so you see it slowly trying to take place. I think a rebrand. The thing with a rebrand, bro, a rebrand kind of shifts everybody mindset. Like when you look good, you feel good, you play good. So like if you get this dude to do some new threads, some new clothes, some new, you know what I mean? You start feeling a little bit better. If I'm throwing on this trash ass jersey every time, it's like, man, it's the same. It's the same old, same old. That's just how you feel. I'm with you, moving with when they fired him. The statement was Green is removed from his coaching duties. Makes me wonder if he was still with the team in some capacity. Nah, I think he gone. I think he gone out of sight, out of mind. Like, do him a favor too. Like Willie, you do Willie a favor by setting Willie free. But then you don't have Queen if you got Zach last year. I think if you go get Joe Dumars are finding a way to get Queen. Like that's what the move showed. Like, so I think they go get Queen regardless. Like, even if you get Zach last year, they find a way to go get Queen. Like Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver loved them. So, like, think about what they gave up to get him, right? If they didn't move the Indy pick, right, they probably just would have used a different pick to trade back into the first round anyway. So I just think like they would have found a way to get Queen because Troy Weaver just believed in Derek Queen that much. I would say Malik Monk instead of Levine. No, for money and age, Malik and is hurt. Either. So like I could see them doing whatever. I don't know necessarily about Malik. To be honest, it don't matter, though. To be honest, really, it don't matter. Both of those dudes are better than the players that we got on this roster at the levels we talking about. Malik Monk is better than every bench player you got right now. And Zach LaVine is, I mean, arguably better than like most of you. Like, is Zach LaVine better than Trey? Yeah. So like either way, you know what I mean? Like if you go get Malik Monk, what he slides into like Herb's position, or he plays Zach LaVine has a player option next year for 50 mil. Fuck it. Fuck it. So you trade for him, like, so there's two ways to look at that. You trade, let's say, DeJounte and whatever, right? You trade DeJounte or whatever, and it's a one-time rental. You think Zach LaVine going out on the market and getting 50 million again? No. And how many teams gonna have cap space next year? So maybe he just take the money wherever, or you got him for this year and then he opts in next year, get one more year, and then you got him for 2 years, and then once he gone, you free up the money. But realistically, you probably on a 2-year window with these players anyway. Because if Z don't get no extension going into last year, into next year, now you talking about Z with 2 years left, like 1 year, and then like next year, and then 1 year after that, right? So then now you talking about possibly, you know what I mean, possibly having Zach LaVine fall off the books, and then you talking about maybe a Z with 1 year left on his deal. So it could work out if you decided to make that move. I don't know if they do. But it's something to consider at least. But man, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me today, dog. For real, we are an hour and a half in. If you hadn't hit the like button, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Share the channel. Also, we got a game tonight. We got a game tonight against the Bulls. I won't lie. I'm pretty sure Z gonna play because he didn't play in the back-to-back. I don't think we're doing back-to-backs with Z, but I expect him to play tonight. I expect the game to be competitive. Anytime Zion play, I'm not really expecting him to get blown out. But I just can't predict a win. Like, I can't predict a win. Like the Bulls have been playing okay. They're not a great East team, but they have some principles. They run, they get up and down, and I just don't know. Could we win? Yes. Will we win? I don't know. Oh, also, because I will not be making the game tonight, if anybody wants a ticket to the game, man, hit me up in the DM on X at Just A Davis. You know what I mean? And I'll go ahead and shoot one of y'all a ticket to the game, man. Appreciate y'all. Do you think there's a way to buy in the players without moving the draft? That way we can make like 1-for-1 or 20-for-1s and sell on the people that we don't even recruit the draft picks. Yeah, I think it's gonna take some strategy. I think you got to move a player like I think Kuminga in the offseason when it was that Kuminga for Herb talk, I think that was real. And I think Herb on Golden State looks different than Herb for us. I think he would help them a lot. And I think Kuminga would help us a lot. So I could see a situation where like you can make moves. You can make moves and like not necessarily use like future draft capital. And also don't necessarily mean you gotta like you're recouping draft picks. So I don't know. We'll see. I do not believe nothing the media say. The media be saying all the time about this draft is the best thing we've seen in 20 years, bro. Exactly, dog. That draft, this draft was supposed to be a great draft. And I like the players that came out this draft. I think all of the, like a lot of the players in this draft are really, really good. This draft was supposed to be a good draft, but then you hear him saying if Cooper Flag would have stayed, then he would have been this in that draft. It's like, dog, there's gonna be good players in every draft, but don't try and overhype the draft when like these dudes ain't even like started dominating college yet. They ain't even dominated college yet. Imagine Derek Queen going back to college right now, how that dude would look. And somebody said it earlier. Imagine a sophomore Jeremiah Fears in college. You probably be talking about him as a top pick again. So, like, while those dudes are freshmen and they come in, imagine year 2 Queen and Fears in college. Dog, them dudes will be dominant. Like, they'll be like dominant. Like the game will look way too easy. You be talking about Fears possibly averaging 30 a damn game. Queen be on triple-double watch every game. So, no. Like, and they'll be talking about them as top talents and top picks again. Then that's just the way it goes. So, man, appreciate y'all for tapping into the show. Hour and a half. Again, I'm A. Davis. Pels in the blender. I'll be with y'all again tomorrow. Maybe this evening, but most likely tomorrow. Ooh, no, probably not tomorrow. I don't know. We'll probably do a post-game recap this evening. After the game, I'll probably get on and then come see why we looking like after the game. That's depending on if these dudes frustrate me or not. But Pels in the blender. I'm A. Davis. I'm out. Peace.